Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series where we begin to get a lot more philosophical the later in the day it gets. Which technically means that it's the earlier in the day that it gets, because late is relative past the point of midnight, because then technically it's early. We're already philosophical. Let's move on. Today, we're going to be talking about a series that is near and dear to a certain extremity in my body, my heart. If you were thinking otherwise, you're dirty and perverted, and you're in the right damn place. So, today we're going to be looking at Interspecies Reviewers, episode 6. 7. It's definitely 7. 7. I never said 6. So, this is a weird episode. Gonna straight up say it in the front. And before we get into it, I'm gonna see if this works. If you like all these sort of videos, and if you've seen a lot more of them, and you're deciding to watch more of them, decide to subscribe. If you don't want to, then it's okay. If you do want to, and you want to keep seeing videos like this, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you, and I'm not going to punish you. It is literally action without consequences. So, let's go ahead and get into this now that I've done that for the first time, and oh, it feels weird asking for subscribers. But let's go ahead and continue further. You see, this is one of those ones that you would technically count amongst the sexy things, but you also kind of don't want to, because this is a very specific fetish. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. So let's go ahead and get into just like, let's just jump in, okay? Episode 7 starts off with pretty much the basics of the whole thing. You know how it normally starts off with. There's really, like, the main characters are just in the tavern doing as they do, and then you see Matery in the background, the bird maid girl who's been really cute this whole time, and she's helping a bunch of people because she's really busy, and then out of nowhere she just straight up says, "Oh, my stomach, I must go, my people need me," and then goes upstairs. People kind of theorize about what she's doing until one person eventually says, "Oh, it's her time of the month." They're like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, it's the time of the month. Girls get cramps down there." And then a little bit more thought is given into it. They're like, "Oh yeah, because technically menstruation is just the reproductive cycle pushing old eggs out to make way for new ones so that fertility can continue." And they think, how does that work with bird girls? And then it's explained she's literally going upstairs to lay a whole bunch of fucking eggs. More than one, mostly. Good chance it's more. So, yeah, during this whole thing, they begin to get a lot more, like, curious about the idea, and then they just kind of say, "I want to go check," and then they realize, oh yeah, she's violent when we say sexy jokes around her, so maybe watching her vagina open up to reveal a whole bunch of eggs is not a good idea. So they begin to get a little bit more curious and decide to find a place that can satisfy that curiosity. You know, have you ever wanted to view the birthing of non-living creatures in the style of SeaWorld? Because that's what we're doing. That's where they're going, straight to SeaWorld, but for non-fertilized eggs. Which brings into an interesting point. They head there and then they get seats while they bring a friend of theirs who is a lamia, snake dude, who is there for different reasons. He's not curious, he's hungry, which is a terrifying sentence. But as they head there, there's a little bit of a conversation that gets brought up with the whole, is it okay for these reptilian lamia snake people to go around eating eggs from these women that are sentient, physically capable of laying these eggs and having the choice between them? And then there's a little bit of a conversation that says, yeah, it's totally okay. They're like, why is it okay though? There's like, it's not okay if it's a fertilized egg. That's eating a baby. It's fucked up. But the fact that it's not a fertilized thing, then they're like, oh yeah, it's just like somebody's getting their mouth is full of somebody else's junk, and then they blow their load and then they swallow all that. So it's pretty much the exact same as that. It's weird, but like, it's okay. They're like, yeah, that makes sense. It's a weird analogy, but it makes sense. So they continue sort of further with this idea as they start to think of like, wait, these are performers selling these eggs. Why are they selling these eggs? Oh, well, it's just a thing that their body does, and if they're not really shy about a lot of it, then they kind of just make the money themselves by selling them off, because they essentially bid them in an auction. The crowd can buy them immediately after they're laid, which is the freshest they can possibly get, and they make it look super gross if I'm at it. Like, it's one thing for like an egg to like be laid. You don't sit there and watch the juices run all over I don't know why that was gross to me. Like, I'm not grossed out by like anything. Like, I go for walks and I see like dead corpses on the animals, not people. I don't live in that bad of a neighborhood. And I've also seen some weird fetish porn, but like, I don't know why. Like, the juices running along the egg, that one like, I didn't want to watch at that point. I don't know why. Maybe that's a personal thing, and I feel like eventually I'll get over it, but right now I feel like I need to say something. So, going forward, yeah, the performers show up, they bear everything they've got, and then they lay their eggs to then sell for a profit, because, you know, if your body's going to do it anyway, you might as well make money off it. Which feels like this could be a side job for just about anybody in this universe that's there, because, like, the only thing that doesn't lay eggs are mammals, and even then there's caveats there. So I feel like this could just be a side hobby for anybody, you know, like go in, come out, walk away with like 300 gold. That's a pretty good deal. But after showing up, they essentially realize how they get that whole economic spiel about how, like, oh, they show up, do this, get paid, do all that. And a lot of the guys that are in the crowd are super into this, like really into this. There are two types of people there. Reptilian hybrid people who are there because they're hungry, which is a terrifying sentence, once again. And number two, the other people there who are there for the fact that they have an egg-laying fetish. Now, as a person who's seen their fair share of how-to ovipositors, there's like a weird level. This one just feels like its own thing, because number one, this is a very raunchy show, but it's not necessarily like over the top. Like, a lot of the time, it would be one thing. I'm gonna go ahead and say this right here. There are no scenes in this whole thing, so I'm not gonna be putting any timestamps. That being said, there's for one reason. You do see, you know, the mammary glands, the nipples, and everything that comes from big mommy milkers through this whole thing. But it's not necessarily, you don't get a pass on that just for that. Like, you still need to be able to, like, show movement, show everything else. And I never counted any of the scenes because, number one, it's more focused on the lower extremities of the women. And there's no actual scene where you see anything. It's either blurred out, hasn't been drawn in, or it's silhouetted to where you just see an egg coming out. And I've talked about this for a whole ass 5 minutes by now, so I'm going to go ahead and push forward. There is no scenes, even when 𝕳𝖊𝖓𝖙 shows up, and she has the most, like, close to orgasmic feeling to it, and I'm not going to 100% count that. So, yeah, that's it. They go through this whole thing of different women. There's a sea anemone chick at one point. There's a penguin girl who's kind of cute. There's a whole bunch of different reptile people. There's one after the other. And then after their whole stay there, they decide, this was a learning experience more than anything else. They rate it kind of low, 3s and 4s across the board of like, I learned something, but like, I didn't get what I wanted. Except for the 𝕳𝖊𝖓𝖙 dude, who is drinking boba tea made from newt girl. Discharge? Referring to eggs as discharge is such a weird way, but I've used weird a lot in this episode. This is not my proudest one. But, yeah. He's drinking boba tea made from newt eggs, and that's a weird... I'm not... Damn it, I said weird again! This is a strange one. And he's the only one that rates it high. He rates it as a 9, as he literally swallows an egg whole that still has steam coming off of it, and... Oh, that's so much worse than just having the juices running along the egg. But to each their own. To each their high cholesterol, yolk-filled own. Also, a little side thing, they say that if you are sexually repressed in a lot of different ways, or are just overall really pent up, then you lay more than 2 eggs, and Maytori lays 3. I thought that was a funny joke. But afterwards, they then bring back the epic ending of the whole thing, along with a post-credit scene. That they have been doing post-credit scenes this entire time, but I found them like too short and not really noteworthy, so I never put them in. Which is a fun surprise. If you guys ever want to go watch this series, stay till the post-credit scene. They're usually worth it, and they're usually more world-building than anything else. But they bring back the epic opening, which I was happy to. It has the whole like rhythmic movement to it, and I love it. And then the after-credit scene is essentially the, oh, it's been 7 episodes. Let's go ahead and see what the fans are doing. Let's get a little bit of a poll on which girl is best, which girl is here. It's essentially a top 10 list for which appearing character is the hottest. And I took about 3 notes, and I'm going to go ahead and go over what I've said. Number 1, the first note. The 9th place goes to the salamander chick from the barbecue area. And fucking excuse me, but you put her that low? Who is in this vote? What Family Feud 100 people put her at the fucking bottom? I am upset, I'm pissed, and I am livid. All those at the same time do not come together very well. She is awesome. She's cute. She's a fucking dragon. I don't even care if you're a furry and you're into fucking dragon girls. It's a dragon. You give her respect. You put her at least 5. And the reason why I say she should be top 3, first off, adorable. Second, fang. Third, dragon. Fourth, you can make bacon on her abs. Do you know why Mikasa isn't in my top 5 waifu lists? Because, yeah, she has abs, and I would be licking the sweat off them every day if I could. But she can't make any food off of the literal hotness that comes off of her stomach and round ass. And Mikasa, sweetie, you're beautiful, even in the newest season where you look like a dude. A little bit more of a turn on for me personally, but most people won't. So I'm gonna go ahead and say it. You've been outshined by Dragon Girl. You can make fucking sausage between her ass cheeks, okay? She does not deserve to be number 9. I will grab her and I will start pressing her boobs up against people's houses to light them on fucking fire. You do not put her that low. Number 1, she smells like a fucking barbecue when you're going at it. If she were real, she would be pregnant 32 out of the 31 days of the month because I would never be able to get my hands off of her. I would burn alive because that is something you fucking fight for. My next 2 notes, not nearly that long. Second note I want to go on for this whole thing. Cat girls are really high in this. The cat girl from like the very beginning of the series, pretty high, understandable. If Japan did not put cat girls really high, then you know that shit got taken over by a different studio that is not from Japan. Or America, because America, you're fucking weird and I love you, but damn. That being said, the third note I wanted to say, number 1 in first place of the whole thing was my girl, the fairy chick with the burnt out eyes and like the pipe and the fucking like big boobs. She's like this tall. She's floating around all over there. She's got that super like sexy, deeper voice that reminds me of Raven from Teen Titans. And if you think that's a little bit of a stretch, no, it's not. I run this bitch. I get to decide who best girl is. So, after her being number one, fuck yeah. Then, the girl announcing this whole thing actually was number one, the human girl who's like 60 that has been like Zell's main squeeze this whole time, and in all the post-credit scenes, she's like been teaching everybody all this stuff because she's experienced, clearly. And naturally, they're wondering like, hey, I thought she would be number one. She's like the nicest person ever, which is understandable. You know, you want to give the best student in the room is usually the teacher. So how come she's not number one? And then then she's like, oh, I don't need number one. I already got my award. And then all the little like paddle things that have been announcing the numbers spots just start flipping over. And then it's her on the back of all of them. She's like, oh yeah, forgot. Best teacher. Thanks. Nice. That's cool. Showing respect to the good folks. And thank you all for at least sticking around while I do my huge ass rant. So, yeah, that's where the episode ends. Positive ending with the post-credits scene that was preluded by the outro that came in, which I'm so glad they brought back. And weird episode overall. I'm still pissed about the salamander girl. You show the fucking dragon girls respect. I do not have 3 different space marines sitting on my table that are ready to be painted green because salamanders aren't the best fucking thing in the world. You light people on fire and then you see how hot they are. Yeah. Show the fire people respect. They're awesome. Even when they're naked. I 100% believe that's what salamanders look like when they're naked. None of that, like, charcoal black skin with red eyes. They look like fucking her. So, let's go ahead and get into the whole thing. Yeah, was it a good episode? I think so. It's a little bit more on the comedic side than anything else. Was it a sexy episode? No. And if you don't believe me, I want you to stay arm's length away from me. Because laying eggs, number one, it's really only hot if you can see the organs at which they are coming out of. Other than that, kind of takes away from the experience, and then you put a lot more emphasis into the thing that's coming out than the actual act of doing so. I know that's a weird way of me stating it after saying that the entire episode was strange, but I have my opinions and you have yours. Go ahead and enjoy your bad opinions. Because mine are right, because I'm up here and you're down there. When you get more subscribers than me, then I will concede to you. Not really. I'm a dick. I'm going to not concede to anybody ever. But, so, that's where we're going to end it for today. So I don't go off on an even more of a long spiel because, damn, these things are starting to get longer than the actual episodes they're supposed to be reviewing. So let's go ahead and end it right there. Good episode. Funny episode. Would recommend. Moving through it. I'd recommend this is the one where you get shit done on your phone. And overall, yeah, it's been a fun ride. We should be kicking up on the next episode in the episode after, because I have a new schedule now, and I should be following it. That being said, thank you everybody for being here. It's been a wild ride, and we're getting more people every day. Thank you, each and every one of you. You're badasses in my heart, and you have a lot less shame than most people, and you are in my heart. So, yeah, let's go ahead and close it. Have a nice day. Don't be a dick. There's too many of them. And wash your fucking hands. I have been the doctor, and salamanders for life!